Hello and welcome to BWT Better Way Training. My name's Bob Hurst and I'm the owner of BWT Inc. And I'd like to introduce you to my guest today, Mr. Scott Benson. And if you would you go ahead and then tell everybody, a little bit about yourself and about how we kind of got connected.
All right, Bobby. My name's Scott Benson. I work for the Pella Corporation. I'm an engineering team leader here in our Murray, Kentucky facility, and I'm responsible for the maintenance and facilities maintenance activities within our four walls. And when we got into some situations where we were trying to go out and find skilled labor, and it was difficult to hire people out in the market, probably a 2021, 2022 timeframe. We were struggling and we decided that we had some candidates in-house that had some potential, but we had to help them reach that potential so that they could fill those absences or voids within our team. And we decided an apprenticeship program would be the way to go about doing that and developing those skill sets in-house. And we put 5 people through it.
Yeah, we kind of been on a little journey, hadn't we?
Yes, we have.
It started out, I remember I approached you with an idea of actually, doing a little training, and made you an offer. Then that led to the point that you said, well, I really need an assessment, so that we know what skill sets that our team needs. Then that led into just what you said, a 2-year committed apprenticeship program.
We did. We struggled with trying to figure out how to apply the assessment across the entire team. We were looking at 30 to 35 technicians, and the assessment was probably 2 to 3 hours to take the assessment.
It'd probably be more like 8 for the one I put together.
Okay, so it's really hard to set aside those times and resources. And not only that, a lot of those individuals don't want to take an 8-hour test at this point in their career. So
yeah, because you're dealing with some very seasoned people, as well as what we worked with during that apprenticeship program. They were green.
yeah,
I mean, they didn't really know anything except for Kyle. He'd had a little bit of training.
we had both ends of the spectrum, and we were able to take the younger, less experienced technicians and build them up, and had some successes.
Well, uh, what actually went ahead and made you decide to work with BWT rather than going ahead and then going through like trade schools or some companies that are well established out there that are known for their maintenance training?
When I came to Pella, they had an apprentice program that had already been established. They had partnered with one of the local colleges of technology, and it was a state funded school. It really was more focused on students who had just completed a high school diploma and were coming out into the work field and exposing them to technologies and trades that are out there. So as I went through the first year or two of my position there at Pella, we had 2 people finish and 2 people start and work through that same apprentice program. And I did not feel like the training portion of it was value added for those folks. Most of what they learned and skills that they developed in our facility working with our technicians with hands-on training. And they just went out and did it and shadowed and worked with, and we had people give them projects and they would complete them and they'd watch them and make sure they were safe and doing things the right way. But the school and training, the academic portion was lacking from the resource that we were using before. And as you and I talked, and I looked at other avenues, it was very difficult. They didn't have standard apprentice programs. Their trainings were more in-depth and focused in skilled areas, but they were very expensive to try to put a group of people through to cover all of the areas in which we were able to cover with our apprentice program. So it was there was value, there was depth and breadth to the program, and the ability for us to have some flexibility in administering that.
Yeah, it was a beta program, kind of like the other one we just finished going through and everything. And, so we flexed. I know what y'all needed to actually get the Class B, which folks, that's actually Pella has what's called a Class B that allows them to be, have proven their skills to be able to get into an electrical cabinet and do troubleshooting.
It's a demonstrated competency to make sure that we're capable, safe, and understand the electrical principles enough that we're not going to damage ourselves or anything else before we let them in those panels.
Yeah, and that was that switch. That was supposed to be the end product after 2 years, and it ended up being the end product after the first year. Actually, even before the first year.
Again,
but we accomplished it.
The flexibility of being able to do that and customize the training again was a huge benefit for us.
Now, let's see, that has led us from, well, it's actually gone ahead and got us connected with a relationship right here on training and everything. And then we've actually wanted to get into possibly like an online training. And then that's what we've just got our first, or you've just got your first group it's gone through. It's called Troubleshooting Mastery. And it's an online course that's it's experience based. They do the lessons and the videos and everything online, and they have all the resources there, but they actually go into the plant and then perform tasks. So, what do you actually think? That was 45 lessons. What were the struggle points and what were the benefits that you actually see that's come out of the first group with this?
So when you look at training in a broad scope with a large team, it's difficult to apply in those small focused pockets of time, and even to pull those people out of your work rotation in order to do this. So we address this by utilizing some of the same tools that you used in the apprentice program, be it video courses and training exercises, allowing them to do those at their own pace, allowing them time at the workplace, and then even opportunity, if they don't get those completed, to complete those at home or anywhere from a web-based browser. So there was some flexibility built into that. There was the ability to administer it to a large group without pulling them completely out of the workforce for a large period of time. And again, the value, the cost was reasonable, and the approach was a good one. I think there were some things that we attempted to accomplish through this training. And I think some of those goals weren't as tangible, maybe, as some other folks would like to put out there. So it's not always a value, right? I get a score of an A, a B, a C, and it's a success, if you reach this level. Well, some of the things that we're really looking at is trying to develop our team so that we're solving problems, and that troubleshooting is not a checklist, and we're not part changers, and we don't just go and take an old one off and put a new one on. That's not really maintenance. That's replacing components. So we want our technicians to have a troubleshooting mindset and a problem-solving mindset, so we can eliminate repeating issues and become more proactive, to be more efficient and not have the repetitive downtime that you see every day in a shop.
Now, this first group, you sent me some horses, or what I mean by horses is, these are seasoned. I think probably the least amount of years experience, probably 16 years in the maintenance industry, for the manufacturing maintenance. So, these guys, they came in knowing quite a lot. And so how do you think that panned out?
Well, there were different reasons for doing this. Obviously, administering a training like this to broad range of skill sets is more difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we saw some success and maybe some failures from our perspective in trying to get this across the entire group. And I think when you look at the more experienced or the more seasoned guys, they didn't grasp the 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 whole concept of what we were trying to do. So they didn't want to go back and start at zero. They wanted to start at, at 75% because I've already done all this.
Yeah.
And what we were trying to encourage them to do was to build the team. And it was to utilize their experience and the things that they've seen throughout their career, couple it with this training and these modules that you got for them on the videos and the lessons, their experience, and combine that and share that with the team so that, I've got a less seasoned guy and he's working and struggling. Well, I've got my more seasoned guy. He's already done and he's finished. How can he help him along? How can they build each other up and bring things to the table to develop the team and the skill sets? That's difficult.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
And
I heard, from each one of them, that they thought that the first portion, was elementary. And, they were told right there in the first couple of modules, that it was a building process and that it was designed, to actually start out, with newbies all the way up to season, and that they would get some nuggets before it's all over with. But, I think that, I felt that some of the failures, in all honesty, on the course was the fact that the seasoned people, they got maybe not burn out, but they just decided, hey, this is not for them from the get-go. And going forward, would you look at this as being more for, like the utility techs wanting to get into maintenance? Would you divide it up into two courses? Yeah, this is for you guys right here, folks. You're hearing it from a guy that's actually, worked with me on these courses so that you know what you need, how you want to get training, and then how to handle it, what to expect out of it. So
if we were to start this over brand new, Bobby, I would say I would probably break it into at least two, potentially three levels of skill and do the training in those groups rather than basically I broke it up with groups from different shifts.
yeah,
And one of the reasons I picked some of the seasoned guys was I was making sure everybody understood we were all going to do this. This was not an option of, you can pick, or no, you don't have to, you've already got this or that. Everybody's going to do it. And I wanted that message to be clear, but I think the dividing the skill levels would probably help in the long run. And I would probably recommend that. I think the one thing that we tried to do and maybe weren't successful is schedule them time to complete these lessons throughout the week and do it consistently through their work week. So it's not a question and they're not struggling with the battle of prioritizing the work, the projects, and the breakdowns that they have to go and address versus this work and the training, so they can put forth their best effort and have plenty of time to go in and make sure they do it right.
Yeah, I got more complaints on that of actually starting a video, getting 10 minutes into it and then getting a call. Then they have to go out, and then they come back and then they kind of forgot where they were at. And after, 2 or 3 times, they pretty well just, said, put it on the back burner.
Yeah.
And so I do think, to Scott's point right here, and what I saw, that it would definitely, you should actually consider setting aside a designated amount of time.
Correct.
Now, as far as the way this course was laid out, would you say that it's good for, the entry level people, since it actually starts at the beginning and it goes all the way through the PLC? Or would you think that just 3 completely brand new set aside, for different levels?
I
In
think
other words, do you think is there a place for this course the way that it is now?
yes, and I think you're probably on to something as you look at the skill levels. I think if you have a a upper echelon, I'd say mid to upper, you may start them at a more advanced state than what we did here.
Yeah.
And I think, this could even be administered below your entry level maintenance technicians. If you have other technical trades, but maybe not maintenance technicians, you mentioned utility techs, that's a position that we have. That is kind of a feeding program for our maintenance guys. And these would be great courses for those guys to get. This is something that we've considered for the future of that group of technical people, to get them in, to give them some training to prepare them for walking into the next maintenance positions as they open up.
Well, that's good to know, because it's starting up 3 brand new programs right here, that's going to be a bear. But, I do actually see that I agree with you 100% on that, because that was the sour points and the sour notes that I saw from the seasoned veterans, even though they all at the end, they all said that they actually learned some stuff, in that certain areas. It was just the fact that they thought that there was, well, it's 45 lessons, each one of them about 2 hours a piece. So spread out over 90 days, it was quite a load, if all that they really needed was, 15 hours worth of that training.
And I think that if we had to go back and do it again, or if we wanted to develop a different program for those upper level technicians, I think it would be more focused, and I think it would be a bit more targeted in time in a smaller group. And I think that way you could pull those resources for long enough to get them trained, but you would focus on specific areas of influence and go to there.
Now, this led up when we first started, we wanted to see, and validate what they actually retained and learned, through this course. So, we set up a 2-day workshop with trainers, hands-on, and it followed this program, this troubleshooting mastery, and made them actually show what they learned or supposed to have learned. And I actually think, from my point of view, I think it was a success, because they got in there and you could tell, even though that they were seasoned, that they wished that they'd put more effort into researching and doing some of the resources and stuff like that. Because when they got in there to do some hands-on, they realized, hey, I'm kind of weak in this area right here. And, they actually asked for some assistance, which, I thought that was good, but, it's a day late, dollar short, really, because they didn't actually get that, at the beginning of the course.
Yeah.
So, if we did break this down, then, for you people out there, I think you need to think about the assessment, that workshop possibly is maybe for your veterans. What do you think about that, for your season, to actually see where they need the training, rather than have them actually go through the course?
I'm a huge proponent of demonstrated competency, and I believe that training, as good as it may be, if it's not retained, or if they don't get the learnings that you expect them to get, then it's not useful for you in the future.
Yeah.
So they have to be able to demonstrate that they've learned, that they have the knowledge and the skill, and that they're able to apply it in real world situations. That is exactly what the workshops are, and that's why it's probably better suited for some of the more advanced technicians. I think these are people that work with their hands every day, and they enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I think their mindset is different when they're able to go out and put their hands on equipment, troubleshoot physical items, and not, sit in front of a screen or watch a video. And I think, this is a great way for them to learn, for you to assess where they stand and what areas you want to get focused on, and teach those upper level seasoned veterans. I think the problem that you're going to run into is administering this to a large group of people.
Yep.
It becomes expensive and time consuming, especially if their strengths and weaknesses are very different, and you have to focus on multiple areas in order to get everyone built up.
Now, I know, my facility's pretty close. Would this have been of value if you had to go ahead and then consider, putting your people up in hotels and transportation cost and everything else? Would would it still been an option that you would have looked at, or
Yes, and the way I look at it, and this is something that we discussed in the beginning of the program, if I had two people and they were part of a different group, there were only two people from my plant or company, and they were participating in this group training, you had 4, 5, 6 other people from different plants or areas, and you had a centralized location, they were going to go and do this training, I would send those two guys to this workshop, well worth the money, no problem. But if I had 6, 7, 8 people,
yeah,
then my travel costs become big, much larger. That would be when what we had discussed was I would have you come to us.
yeah.
So I'd be paying travel costs for you, but not for 8 people. So that's kind of the balance of how I would look at the economics of it and getting the greatest value out of the training. And I think the workshop itself is valuable enough. It may be the most valuable part of the course.
Yeah, it's a we've talked about some of the failures. Some of the things that we were wanting to do, like you said, was build like a team, and the team mindset to where they help each other out. So I developed a community to where they could go in there and share their experiences and stuff like that from each of the courses for the people that were struggling versus the people that it just came natural. And that's where we lacked on that. But now the workshop actually joined everybody together. And it was really amazing. And I put that down in your summaries and stuff, how they lended a helping hand, to each other. So, I thought that was a big plus. The workshop is actually, they got a team built spirit just by the different people coming together with their different talents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think as we look at this training, we look at our apprenticeship, we look at some of the other things that we partnered with before. I think as we move on, we're going to be looking at some of those more focused opportunities, hands-on opportunities to really administer to smaller groups specific in-depth training to get that demonstrated competency. Now, the challenge with that, and I hope everybody out there understands, is this falls on to you and your leadership team, because you have to be able to figure out the right way to select the right individuals, to develop the right training, or at least look at and figure out, draw a good conclusion of what skill sets you have gaps in and what training your team needs. Because it'll be different for every location and every group and every team. But in order to keep your team camaraderie and that cooperation, you're going to have to figure out a fair and balanced way to pick out. You can't train the same people all the time. You have to share that development opportunity across the entire group. So it's going to fall on you and your leadership team to figure out the right ways to do that and make sure that you're building, again, that cohesiveness in your team.
Yeah, you don't have to answer this, but we had talked about this. You also learned about how much effort, your employees, so that, that being said, you kind of know whether or not you really want to invest in certain ones or not in the future.
Well,
So,
you had mentioned that there were a few people that expressed comments in their surveys about I'm just doing it because I have to, or I'm doing this and I don't really think I'm getting any value out of it, and so that's okay. It was a command. It wasn't a request. They were going to do it, right or wrong. But when I look at my team and I evaluate the people that I want to continue to invest in and develop as technical resources and team members, the ones that are willing to take maybe even something they don't want to do and put forth the effort to get the most out of those things, then those are the kind of people that I'm going to continue to invest in because I know I'm going to get my money's worth. They're going to be a good steward with whatever it is that I offer them. If it's a little, if it's a lot, if it's exactly what they wanted, doesn't really matter. I know that this person, because of the way they are, is going to get the most out of it, even if it's just this much, but it may be this much. So those are the ones that I want to look to focus on in the future. And that's part of what it does is it separates those people of who are the ones I want to invest in and who the ones that, well, I'm going to let them work as long as they want to work.
Yeah, you actually had some, that they complained, but buddy, I mean, they stepped up to the plate and they dug in deep.
Yep.
And I was really impressed with that. And they did it from, the so-called the elementary section, from day one.
Yep.
And I've also got this with another plant that they're not seasoned. And there's a completely different mindset from the unseasoned versus the seasoned, because those guys are hungry, and wanting to learn.
Yep.
And because, they actually see that it's gonna give them advancement. And bringing that up, what do you think, all we've talked about is in a plant environment. Okay, what about for the individual that has the initiative and the desire and wants to get into the field of being a maintenance technician? What would you suggest to them that is the best avenue for them to go and to take that would best prepare them for this job? These openings and skill sets.
From the folks that I've run across in interviewing over the last 5 years for technical positions, I would say more often than not, the ones that have some training and some experience are the better ones than the ones who have no training and all experience, or the ones who have all training and no experience. So it's a balance.
Okay.
And I think, your best bet is to find a position that will begin you on your journey of a technical trade. If you don't find that exact position, look for ways in your current position to foster technical abilities or apply technical concepts while you work. I think if you look at the training aspect of it and you want to chase that while you're in a maintenance position or while you're in some other position, I think the opportunities that you had with the courses for our apprentice program are an outstanding start. If you wanted to personally do the troubleshooting approach, I think you could do that as an individual, and you will get out of it what you put in it. And that's what I tried to tell my team when they were talking about it was, it's okay if it's not specifically tailored to you, but the reward you will get will be based on the effort that you put in. And I think we had an individual at our facility that actually approached you about our apprentice program.
Yep.
And he took that on with his own finances and his own time outside of his job, and really developed himself as a skilled technical person. Turned out to be one of the best that we had in the plant at his particular position. And then he's moved on to actually another company and is managing a technical team. So
that means that even if you don't have the opportunity to work in a plant, I think what Scott's saying, where the plant actually covers your training, there is value if you're willing to put forth the effort and then have the initiative. And, it's a great industry, the manufacturing, maintenance technician. I've been doing it, in R&D and research development and everything for years, working with engineers. And it's, if you like working with these, it's great,
For years, and I would say decades, they have pushed that a 4-year college degree is the only way to go out of high school. Mm-hmm. But right now, I think we have proven in the technical trades markets The lack of resources to go out and find skilled technical labor that can do that type of work. There is jobs to be had, money to be made, futures to be groomed, and expectations to be met. A huge amount of potential out there for technical trades jobs. If you don't believe me, go out on LinkedIn and type in technical trades, and you'll see everybody wants somebody.
Yeah, and I've done some research on that, and it just shows that most of us, that are in the technical trades right now, or a big majority, are like my age, and they're getting ready, to go into retirement and everything else. So that just means that much more is going to open up, and it's ballooning, which is going to be hard for people like you. If there's not enough people that are willing to get out there and work with their hands and then get the training.
Equipment becomes more technical every day.
Yep.
And we need people to fix and repair it, because we can't buy new and throw it away just because it broke.
Now, if you had an individual that actually went through this, and then say like the apprenticeship program or any of these courses, and you contacted me, and said, what do you think about him? He's come in, he's applied for a job. Would that carry any weight as far as considering him as a candidate for a job? Or do you think that they truly need experience with it?
I believe that going through the training is obviously going to help prepare you for those roles. And I would place a weight of value on that training. I would also say that in a competition, right, they're going to be matched up against other people.
Yep.
Would this training outweigh someone with significant experience? I couldn't say one way or the other, because it would be a case-by-case scenario. However, I would definitely consider someone completing this training. It exhibits several things: the ability to learn and to apply concepts, the ability to start and finish a project or an initiative, and the initiative to go out and do it on your own. Those are three qualities that everyone wants in every employee that they hire. So I'm checking 3 boxes right there.
Yeah.
The rest of it is just, if I need to train someone more on an electrical, or on a controls, or on mechanics, or on tool and die, I've got guys that can teach them. If I know they're going to stick with it, if I know they're going to have the initiative, and I know they're going to finish what I put in front of them, boy, I'm a lot more confident in those people in those situations.
Hear that, folks? So if you dig in, you can open up the opportunities, and they're definitely going to be out there.
They're out there.
Is to sum it all up and wrap it up, what would you go ahead and then tell the audience for the people, individuals like you, managers that are wanting to build a team, the individuals that are just wanting to go ahead and then level up their skill sets, and the individual that just want to actually get into the field and get a job?
So for those of you that are looking to find technical trade resources, there's 2 ways to go about it. You go out and you pay top dollar, and you get the best you can buy for your money. Those are hard to come by. A lot of times through the interview process, it's difficult to determine the work ethic, culture, and mentality of those people on an everyday basis. They may or may not mesh with your team. The other way to do it is to grow your own. That is what we chose to do. We picked 5 people that were exhibiting the right mentality, the right initiatives that fit well with our team, and we put them through our 2-year apprentice program. It's been an outstanding success, in my opinion, and these guys are meshing in with our team very well right now, and they're some of our better techs. So what were the other 2, Bob?
Well, the other 2 is, you know, just like the individual that's just wanting to go ahead and then increase his skill set to
Okay.
the next level, and an individual that doesn't have a job, but this is for the career that he wants.
All right. So when we think about the team or the individual, uh, assessing where they are and getting to a higher level, or opening up those development opportunities for them, I think there's great advantages to utilizing your hands-on workshop, to making sure that they can demonstrate competency. And if you use the online training modules, there's value in those. If you do a focused hands-on training, there's value in that. I think you have to feel out your situation and understand what you can do economically, and what you can do on a broad scale or a small scale, depending on how many people and what skill sets you're looking for. If you're an individual and you're looking to develop your skill sets, I think these trainings are value added, they're economical, they're accessible, they're flexible, and I think they're as good as any other individual training that you're going to go and find out there.
Thank you. Hear that, folks? Let's give it up for Mr. Scott Benson. What do you say? You know, I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate, you know, y'all's confidence in BWT, you know, and all and the continued working together and the relationship that we have, and the team that has been built. You know, I mean, it's all truly, you know, the apprenticeships, they're, I think one of the best things that I saw is why I got into this, folks. I'm just going to go ahead and say is I go into these plants. I've been teaching and training and flying a big silver birds, you know, all over the place for several years. And I walk in there and everybody's like this. You know, I want people to have pep in their step and enjoy what they're doing and not get grogged down. And that I really think our first group that went through there, you know, through the apprenticeship program, I mean, you know, they've got a work ethics that is bar none, you know, top notch. And I actually think that it's actually even helped to step up the rest of the team, because they're saying, hey, man, we're going to keep up with the crowds, you know. And
Well, it's infectious when people work with a good attitude, when people take the initiative to go the next step. Then the guy beside them feels the same obligation, and they work for and with each other. And it's an attitude that breeds. It's hard to breed. It's hard to instill, and it's hard to get it across an entire team. We're not there yet, but these are steps we're taking to try to get better and to continue to improve.
okay. Well, everybody, once again, give it up for Scott. I appreciate you. Appreciate Pella for working with me. And to all of you out there that's viewing this interview, I wish you, you know, the best success. And if there's any way that I can help you out in building a team or get you trained and develop some skill sets, you know, reach out and touch base with us, and we'd love to work with you. So, Scott,
Thank you.
thank you much. Appreciate you.